common ground, never middleman, understand. This is Trippin' Jim, we do what we want, you do what you can. Can you comprehend? If I think, then therefore I am. This is not a test, y'all should've came with a plan. I'ma stand on this conversation, ain't no constant hating. You need to get to the point, and we bringing the navigation. If it's a fork in the road, we'll make a lane in the grass.
You are now tuned in to the Dead Center Podcast.
What's up, everybody? This is Trip.
And I'm Jim.
This is Dead Center, where we try to conversate, not constant hate, and
Get to the point.
And today, after last night,
Yes.
we are talking about the first round of the Democratic debate.
The B team. The second.
The B team, indeed.
Yeah.
Well, does that make
the
Elizabeth?
first heat.
Does that make Elizabeth Warren the sixth man?
I think it had to have been some kind of pyramid tiering because it was very clear that there were three candidates that everyone knows the name of, and then everyone else was like, "Oh, so that's Inslee."
Right.
You know what I mean?
I was one of those people.
Right.
I'm
Exactly.
not gonna lie.
I learned a lot about De Blasio, like what he looks like.
Yeah, exactly. I could pick him out of a crowd now. Well, we could start off with the funniest part of the night.
Right. The MSNBC didn't do a fantastic job.
They didn't do a fantastic job of these questions.
It's like
they didn't do
every
a fantastic job of setting up these debates, and they also did not do a fantastic job when these moderators left their microphones on after they left stage.
Well, they decided to do a moderator swap halfway through this thing, which was already kind of weird. It was already very weird, in my opinion. Like, there's no reason to be like, all right, tag out. You got this, Rachel. Like, there's just no reason.
Right. No, I completely agree. And the fact that they were trying to sneak in Rachel Maddow and Chuck Todd on top of the other three is just, it's questionable from the jump.
Like, why not do one night, why not do one night and then another night with two different teams of moderators? Why not do that? Why do this weird half and half? No, I want to ask Beto questions too. What? Like, was everyone chomping at the bit to be a moderator for this thing?
Right.
For the first one? Why?
Yeah, no, I just, it's a gaffe by MSNBC, and it definitely took some of the pressure off the way it was going at that point in time, specifically because of the arguing between the candidates who nobody knew anything about.
Right.
We had John Delaney, who now I officially don't like.
He's first of all, he was on the outsides, I'm assuming because of his low polling, right?
Maybe.
Because why else would you know what I mean? You
Yeah,
have Elizabeth Warren right in the middle, and then Beto
next
and
to Cory,
Cory.
next to Tulsi.
It makes sense. Pretty sure there's some kind of tiering going on here, and I'm sure you can look it up, but I didn't. My point being, he's on the outside, so he already looks like he's a low-tier candidate, and then on top of that, he got really desperate to speak to every single question that was asked any other candidate.
My dad did that too. My dad came over from my grandparents. Every single issue he made about himself.
But the other problem he has is that he's a centrist Democrat. He is not very left-wing.
Biden has the same problem, but
and he's a guy, and he's got to survive this round of identity politics as an old white dude.
Right.
And that's going to be tough.
It's going to be tough
especially when you're Tim Ryan, who was very eager to stick his foot in his mouth. He's like, I demand that you pay attention while I shoot myself in the foot.
Boy, my girl Tulsi ate his butt up, man.
Oh my gosh. It's like, you don't know anything about war. Shut up.
You better hush.
Like when they attacked us on 9/11, it's like, do you even know who attacked us on 9/11?
Right.
Get out of here.
Yeah. That was it. When he was she was like, the Taliban, that wasn't the Taliban.
That was Al-Qaeda.
That is Al-Qaeda.
Yeah. Oh, well, it doesn't matter. They're all, you know what I mean? That's essentially what he looked like.
They all look the same.
Yeah,
essentially
exactly.
What he
all
said.
Middle East is Middle East, man.
God. All those terror cells.
Right. Oh, terrorists, right. When them.
Yeah, exactly.
No, he looked, I wouldn't be surprised if he didn't even show up for a next round of debates at all.
Exactly. The reason these candidates, Bill de Blasio, Jay Inslee wasn't as bad, but he definitely did his part of trying to answer every question. Same with John Delaney
Jay Inslee did if anyone did it right, it was Inslee.
Out of the four of them, I would say, but he was definitely pandering. What's the most
he's the eco governor, right?
He was pandering, and he did his part. They all had to go for broke. I don't think, and I'm saying Inslee because I don't think
all of them except for Warren had to go for broke.
To make it to the next round of debates?
Right, that's what I'm saying. I don't think Warren had to go for broke.
They all had to go for broke. I think maybe they all should have, but Tulsi was very cool. Cory Booker did himself some favors. Beto didn't do any favors for himself.
Like, I think Beto, if there was anyone that walked into last night's debate thinking they were just going to be able to show up and make it to the next round, it was Beto. If you look at the way he
and who was wrong about it, because Beto looked like he was the punching bag for anyone else that needed some spotlight.
He didn't have a lick of good information.
He bowed to it every time.
Yeah,
every time someone stepped on him, he was just like, "Oh, okay."
Word salad and bowing.
You have a point?
Yeah, he didn't have any substantive policy issues. The biggest flaw.
No, that's not true. There were a couple of things. Immigration, and he flexed a little bit right there because being from Texas, having answered this question so many times so recently. He seemed seasoned on a few of these while he was running for the Senate run. It was like his
but when he was talking about
maybe
immigration, he did okay on. I'll concede that.
I won't say it was fantastic. I won't say it was fantastic.
Right,
it's
not like he gave a bunch of. He knew what the problem was. He didn't give any like real answers as to what we should do, other than passing more funding, which is every Democrat should feel that way right now. But
the only person that really said they were going to do anything was Castro.
Yeah.
And he kept just saying, so I'll sign an executive order. I'm going to executive order this. I'm going to executive order that. I'm going to executive order this. It's just like, whoa.
Calm down, Obama 2.0.
Like, you're also standing next to candidates who have talked as if they're confident that the voters are going to show up and they're also going to have a blue Congress to work with.
Well, regardless of left or right.
Maybe these executive orders aren't necessary.
People got pissed off when Donald Trump walked in and started signing executive orders. People got pissed off when Obama walked in and started signing executive orders. That's just... They're doing that.
And so on and so forth.
And so on and so forth.
Right.
Exactly. So, I mean, when you walk out and preemptively say, hey, guys, I'm going to sign lots of executive orders to get my way right when I get through the door.
Right.
That's a bad...
Please don't.
Yeah.
Please don't.
Right. You're shooting yourself in the foot. And I think that Julian Castro was another one that needed to go for broke to get to the next round. I don't think he did a bad job at it, but because he has more name recognition than Tim Ryan and John Delaney. But
right, and that's so he didn't act nor look as desperate as they did to get the camera. There were a few times that he kind of kept the spotlight, but there's definitely a sense that there were some candidates who purposely took a back seat, thinking they either had their way in or that it was the smart play. Like Klobuchar, I'm going to massacre her name.
Amy Klobuchar. She did well. In my opinion.
She's like your best friend's overprotective mom. She just seems super like, well, I think we're concerned. Like, well, I think we should.
Yeah.
She reminds me of someone like that I know, and I made that point known when I was talking to my buddies last night during the debate. But it was very it was very much like oddly, oh yeah, you're still here. I like you.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean?
Right. She did herself some favors. She gave some good answers. So she answered
with
questions with substance on policy. She answered she didn't beat around the bush. She said, I don't want to make college free everywhere. I want to make trade school and community college.
But she very much waited her turn.
Right.
Which in a debate with 10 freaking candidates, you're going to have a problem if you just wait your turn.
Right.
Didn't work out for Beto. We just talked about that. It worked out for her.
Right.
But I think someone that had tried the same method and it didn't work out for was front and center.
Elizabeth Warren.
If you have front and center, you should take advantage of being front and center.
Not in these rounds. And I look, maybe this is just me.
Well, it was every time I saw her on camera, I'm like, oh my God, where have you been?
Yeah, exactly.
There were so many questions I would have loved for you to step in on.
Right, but she has been dogging out Joe Biden for the last 6 months. She's waiting to be on stage with Joe. And I said this prior to the debate. It's trash that they didn't have them together at the first round. It just is.
It should have been a tiered. It's just straight up like this is, like I said, the B team,
right,
and this is the A team,
right. Yeah.
Rather than
Tulsi
we're going to put the top 3
tonight.
polling candidates up here. Well, actually, no, we're going to take one of those and make it the top polling candidate down here.
The best candidate from this,
Kamala Harris should have been where Elizabeth Warren was,
right?
And Elizabeth Warren should be probably where Harris is going to be.
Andrew Yang maybe should have been.
No.
Round.
Andrew Yang and Mayor Pete are going to be the
bookends. They're going to be the John Delaney and Bill De Blasio of tonight.
Yes, so they're going to be. Look for them, and I hope they do this because these are 2 candidates that I believe, as millennials, our generation's kind of going.
Buttigieg.
Hey, wait, we're here.
I think Buttigieg is going to be the hot take. I think Buttigieg is going to be the Beto of tonight. I think he just got kicked in the mouth with this whole shooting in Indiana thing by the cops not having his body cam on and being trashed at the town hall for it. I think that's going to affect him, and that he's not going to stand up to tonight very well. I think he's
You
going to
think that's going to come into scrutiny that quickly?
I think somebody's going to dog him on it very quickly.
Well, before we do predictions for let's keep going with winners and so with last night, I think that one person that really stood out as not necessarily having to do the give me the spotlight, but taking it anyway was Cory Booker.
Yes.
Like, while I disagree with a good amount of his tactic to get votes, like one thing that he saw was Tulsi Gabbard was somehow softball pitched this, okay, here's your opportunity to make up for all that gay stuff.
Yeah.
Like, at that moment, like, when he just... it's totally overshadowed what her answer was because she had a very concise, clearly rehearsed answer to the question.
Well, she freaking should have.
Well, yeah, of course.
You know?
I don't like you.
He's our friend for the episode.
So, but anyway, so she clearly had this well thought out, and I thought tangibly good. Mm-hmm. Like, you could feel that it was true and good. She was sincere. Like, I'm running for president as a Democratic candidate. Clearly, this is not how I feel anymore. Right. Was the message something along the lines of, like much of you, I held beliefs then that I no longer.
That I held. Yeah. She was very well spoken with it. She articulated it very, like, she knew what she needed to say, and she said it the right way. Cory Booker just said, "Yeah, that's not good enough. Like, we're not." No, you have to do more than just apologize. You need to And the thing is, though, that's. But
the thing is like what she should have said was, "You're right. That's not good enough. So I'm running for president." Come on.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
But he stood on her. He jumped on her, and then he stood on her as a soapbox of all things, try to pin down the black trans vote. That whole spiel was, we're ignoring the trans part of LGBT. And that is, I believe that is the case. I believe that while the civil rights movement is making strides, I believe the trans community is being left behind. That is a totally different topic for another time. But his point was made in such a weird point. And it's like, if you're going to jump on someone for someone not being good enough or not saying enough, don't jump to a topic that had nothing to do with the question she was asked. Like, her history had really nothing specifically to do with the tea.
If you look at voting records, guess who out of every 25 candidates has had the most consistency voting Democrat over the last 8 years? Tulsi Gabbard.
She's voted with the party a lot. She's voted with the party a lot, and in the primary, that might end up being a good thing if she makes it. If she makes it past the identity politics round, makes it past the policy development and scrutiny round, and gets into that top 7 or so candidates.
Yeah, 3 to 5.
If she gets in there, then I believe you're right. I believe she's going to be another moderate. She's going to be a moderate woman, and that history. She's going to be asked more on it. Mm-hmm. This is not it's not like she had this one answer that she rehearsed and then is never going to be asked again. She's writing her next response now.
Full disclosure for the fans, I am rooting for Tulsi, and
to get the nomination.
Well, all the way.
Okay.
But on her whole campaign trail, she has been the same way. Even keeled. She was on The View. Meghan McCain tried her on her because she was like, well, my daddy was a war hawk, essentially, and Tulsi was like, she tried to get her on it, and Tulsi wasn't having none of it. Like, she's been very even-keeled. Any place you look at her giving a speech, talking about the campaign, talking about policy, she has been on point. This is very much business as usual for Tulsi, watching her last night. And that's just, I think that's going to play out well. I think she did, other than the gaffe in the beginning where they said, how do you feel about women's pay? And she said, stop the regime change wars.
Right. That was, if anyone didn't catch that, it was like her first actual directed question. It's like the first question she had directed towards her had to do with women's pay. And it wasn't directed towards it was like someone else got asked about it, and then someone said, well, how do you feel about it?
Right.
That's what it was. But it was directed at her, and it was her first time to really get the spotlight and say something, and she really did kind of go, oh, women voters, I'm a woman, like, of course that's how I feel. But let me make a point about, I'm a soldier. And it's just like, okay.
Yeah,
all right, go on. Wait, what? Yeah, no,
Drives me nuts
but there was a
more
lot
than
of that. You say that. I know you're being hypercritical of your candidate, I guess.
Right.
But there was a lot of, hey, yeah, that question you asked, that's a great question. But let me get back to a point you asked about earlier that you didn't talk to me for. So
Right.
I really want to answer this one question.
Right.
There was a lot right at the end. I believe there were like
and
6
if
or
she
7
would've done
questions
that-
in a row.
If she would have done that, I'd have been fine. It's the fact that she started to answer that question and then veered to the regime change war stuff. It's like
with almost no segue.
with no segue.
Right.
She didn't say, "Hey, I'm going to answer that next. I need to answer this first." I'm cool
Well,
with that.
of course, at the end you can do that
Right.
because you actually could be
Right.
like, well, let me just take a second to answer this other question. When it's the first thing that's asked to you, it's like you don't have anything to point to prior, so no, answer this question.
Right.
You know what I mean?
So yeah, Tulsi.
Winners and losers.
Right. So I think for as far as losers, we can start with losers.
Beto.
Beto
Beto was the punching bag man.
If he
he made me feel sorry for him. I'm dead serious.
Yeah, it very much.
He's
Jeb
gonna get
Bush,
like a pity
very
vote.
much.
Yeah.
Jeb Bush, please clap for me.
Yeah, exactly.
Please clap. Beto, he did
But it was
not,
his fellow Democrats
if
doing it.
anybody can't. Well, what did he expect? Like, you're walking into a debate with at least 5 candidates nobody's ever heard of. You really think they're not gonna go, and other candidates who aren't polling as high as they think they should?
I just expected them to go after the leader in the room. Like everyone else
The leader
did
in the
when-
room is solid on policy, on her policy. She is very well spoken on her policy. When you have Beto, who walked into that debate like he thought just by showing up he was going to make it to the next round.
He wins crowds so easily. I think there were, and let's talk about this real quick. Quite a few times, candidates said something that held a bunch of buzzwords. Cory Booker's closing statements was literally nothing but buzzwords. I mean, it was like literally he just let out a bunch of hot air, and you're like, you didn't actually say anything.
Yeah.
Like, you make me feel happy about your chances,
Right.
but holy cow, you literally said nothing when
Well-
you talk about the logistics of it. But as far as like so many times candidates would strike with this like my daughter's here, or
Right,
and Donald Trump's just this, and it's just like it was very clear you wanted everyone to clap. Nobody clapped. They just wanted to hear the next thing you had to say. And there were a lot of times candidates were caught off guard.
I think we're seeing the changing of the guard in candidates that are having that because Cory Booker is border, like, he was elected in in 2003 or 2005, I want to say, in New Jersey where he's at.
I know where he's, yeah.
And he's him, and John Delaney and these other candidates are still in the 80s, 90s Democrats political style, where it's like, don't tell them your policy, make them feel good.
Right.
It's I'm a regular Joe just like you. Like, that's
Cory Booker's doing a really good job of
how
keeping
he felt.
both feet on either side, though. Because
Right.
he's also pushing a bunch of policy that makes you think. Same way Warren's doing it. It's
he's
like, this isn't going to
saying-
survive the Senate,
Right.
but look what I did.
right. Exactly. And
Harris is doing the same thing.
He kept
well,
his
actually,
foot-
she's not proposing stuff. She's just signing on to stuff.
Right. She's
Right.
very much
Like, oh, yeah, put my name on that.
Yeah.
I'll
I
put my name on
support
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Green New
That's
Deal.
me.
Yeah.
I'll put my name on that.
Yeah. That's very much.
I'm not going to vote for it, but I'll put my name on it.
Kamala Harris, yeah, very much. So losers were John
Beto.
Beto, number
Delaney
one.
looked very desperate.
Delaney, absolutely, and then De Blasio, yeah, I'm gonna put, or no, Tim Ryan.
Tim Ryan would be the third loser for
Third,
sure.
and then-
and honestly, I think Tim Ryan lost more than Delaney did, because when Delaney, he did look desperate for the spotlight, but he didn't stick his foot in his mouth every time he got it.
Right.
Tim Ryan
Fair
a couple times was just like, how?
Let me see if I can put my fist in my mouth on live TV.
Yeah, right.
So I'd agree with that.
Those three were probably the biggest losers. De Blasio was right there again because he has a hard time surviving the identity politics. Who was the one that said, oh, by the way, I have an adopted black son?
That was Bill de Blasio.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Right.
Yeah,
I've been raising a black son
Yeah.
in America. None of you have been raising a black son in America.
What?
Oh my God!
Like, I'm probably the only candidate here that has a black kid. It's just like, what? What? That's your card now?
I mean,
What?
If you look you said it yourself. It's the identity politics round. I've got a black kid. Like,
And everyone went,
okay.
what?
I want to see what the internet has to say about that.
Right.
So
I think that would be the fourth loser.
Right, and then-
because
and
that
then-
was just that was the shining moment, but it kind of defined the rest of it. 'Cause
Right.
who's the biggest the one question towards the end was like a lightning round question. Where it was like, who's the biggest geopolitical
it
threat
was
to
Jay Inslee.
America?
Donald Trump.
Yeah.
Jay Inslee. Yeah.
Jay Inslee was like Donald Trump, and everyone went nuts. But then, like at the end, it was de Blasio saying it's Russia.
Yeah. Well,
And that was a moment where I was like, huh, that's not bad.
right. He gave a definitive answer.
The rest of the time, though, he was kind of a clown.
So, all right. So winners now. Let's. I think the person who did the most for themselves was Amy Klobuchar.
Yes.
I would have
Weirdly
to say,
enough, because she didn't do a whole lot, but when she did it, it was really good.
she knew what to say. She was, and yes, her policy is not as far left as the rest of the candidates, but she answered the question.
Right.
She didn't
And gave reasoning.
Right. She gave her
Like the gun thing. She was like, I actually think about it in terms of my uncle who likes to shoot things from a stand.
Right.
If it doesn't affect him, it's probably safe, and actually assuming that it's getting out harm to humans.
Right.
Like that was like, huh.
It's substantive.
You spoke to the people who actually kind of are sensical about the gun laws.
Right, or the thing about college or medical, like
Right.
she was very forward about what she wanted to do.
Mm-hmm.
She wasn't, and I think Cory Booker would be number 2 as far as done the most for himself. Because walking into these debates, I thought of Cory Booker as Spartacus and Spartacus alone. And after last night, while he didn't give a whole lot of substance on policy, he said the right
crowd.
things. He got the crowd.
He definitely got the crowd out of everybody.
He definitely he went on the attack. He went on offense at the right times. While
Surprisingly enough, Castro probably another one.
yes, I would say Castro number 3.
Same kind of thing where it's like, oh yeah, you do have policy ideas.
Right.
It just, to me, you said executive order a lot,
Yeah.
which scares me. And with Cory Booker, you use a whole lot of buzzwords, which makes me think you didn't say a whole lot.
Right.
But I mean, they did do probably the most for themselves. I think the other winner was, I guess I have to put Elizabeth Warren on here as well.
No, I would say
Tulsi definitely did good for herself too. She did, like I said, give
I
a
would put
solid
Tulsi
answer.
and Julian Castro on the same page as far as
I would put Castro up there with Cory. Just Castro wasn't as popular as Cory going into it.
Right.
As far as who
Fair
did
enough.
more for themselves,
Right.
I think Castro actually did
Fair
more
enough.
for himself.
In that
it's like, hi,
aspect.
none of you really know who I am, but this is Miami, and I'm the
Right.
only Latinx guy up here.
in that aspect, yeah, I'll agree. And then Tulsi behind that, and now we're left at the person who didn't hurt themselves and didn't help themselves, which would be Elizabeth Warren. And that's because I think she knows if there's any
I
candidate
think
that was
Inslee,
on
you
this
could
stage,
put that in there too. Inslee didn't do a whole lot. He
Right.
basically struck home the one thing
Yeah.
everyone knew about him was, you're the super green governor of Washington. That's what everyone knew about him.
Right.
And then now it's like, so what else do you have? And he's like, so the environment. And it's just like, no, we know that, right? So I think that he did the same thing. While he said a lot more, he didn't do a whole lot for himself.
Right.
But he didn't
He's
hurt
playing
himself
the
either.
Joe Biden card.
He didn't hurt himself either.
We want Trump out. He's playing the Joe Biden card from the bottom.
But when
bottom of the
you're
barrel.
leading the pack, that works. That's
Right.
safe.
Well, when you're standing there looking like the sane candidate, because and I'm not saying that the other candidates are crazy, but Joe Biden's trying to take the route of, we need to end radicalization and polarization of our politics. Elect me.
Right.
That's his whole premise.
Right,
That's his
and-
campaign slogan.
So I think Inslee kind of played the same kind of safe, but said a lot without saying too much. Like we said earlier, de Blasio did the same kind of thing, but he said way too much, and it was not good. Elizabeth Warren, it was easy to forget she was there, and it was easy to forget she's the leading candidate in the room.
Well, and that's why I think she didn't do much. I think she knew she didn't. If she went in there fiery, there's a possibility she could put her foot in her mouth on foreign policy.
Commit a gaffe.
There's a possible she could commit a gaffe overall. Tulsi Gabbard would have eaten her alive on foreign policy just because of her voting record alone. Because she's from Massachusetts, where a lot of these factories produce a lot of the military-industrial complex weaponry, stuff like that. She had to vote for those things because she didn't want to lose jobs in her own state.
Right.
So I think she knows that. I think she went in and she tried to take the Amy Klobuchar route, except she didn't do it as forcefully. And I think as well, and this may be it may be, it may be cynical, but I think if there was any candidate on that dais, She walked in and knew, regardless of how she did,
Right.
she was going to be at the next round.
Right.
And there's
The less I say, the better I do in this debate.
Exactly.
Because a lot of people, when they list their
you
winners,
can't count that as a loss.
Right. A lot of people, when they list their winners, they're going to sit there and they're going to go, "Oh, Cory Booker, he got on stage a lot. Tulsi Gabbard made some headway. Elizabeth Warren did great." And it's like, what'd she do? It's like, she did great.
She's going to be at the next debate.
Because she's going to be at the next debate.
And you have to count. I mean,
Beto thought he had the same kind of name.
No, and
but he didn't.
Beto.
God, punching bag, man. That's all I'm saying.
It's like
every question he answered. Every question he answered.
Yeah. So let's do a little bit of prediction for tonight. I think.
Okay.
I think Biden's gonna wind up doing the same thing Elizabeth Warren did, but I think it's gonna hurt him more.
Okay. Yeah. Because at this point, you got to say something.
Yeah,
You're already here.
Yeah,
You're the
I
leader.
think
You
it's
got to
gonna
say something.
Well, and because his policy substance has been like he wants to. Cut Social Security. He wants to make, healthcare for all a program that helps only poor people. So down the road, you possibly can cut it. Like there's plenty of speculation to look into his policy ideas, especially because Obama only chose him as his VP to get some of the white vote. In my opinion.
Ooh.
Hot
take.
It is what it is. But
he's a very milquetoast candidate.
And right now, exactly. And right now, Joe is going to. I think he's going to do the same. He knows he's going to be at the next round.
Who's going to eat him?
I think
Bernie.
Bernie's going to come at him.
Bernie's
I
gonna
think
eat
Bernie's going to have. I don't think anybody else has the cojones to come at him.
I think that remember.
I don't know. This is going to be the big
A lot of the debates, Bernie took that high road of I don't want to hear anything about her emails, like stuff like that, where it seemed like he was like, okay, like I know I'm going to win,
I
so
don't
you
think
guys.
He's going to make the same mistake 2 years in a row. They're already trying to get him the F out of here. So I don't think that he's going to do. I think I got a lot of hot takes for this one.
Yeah.
I think the Beto for tonight, like I said earlier, is going to be Buttigieg. I think he's going to be the one that's back that isn't prepared. I think he was caught off guard last week or earlier this week.
If Andrew Yang gets the question, I hope
he's
he
the
gets.
wild card. I think he's
an absolute wild card. But I think that if he gets the question, I think he's going to get, which is going to be about
UBI.
Yeah, the UBI and the automation embracement.
He's going to shake some stuff.
How
up.
the crowd reacts to that's going to be huge because he's at the 1% line. Like he's barely in there.
If there's anybody who has the ability to do what Klobuchar did last night, I think it's Yang. I think Yang will be the surprise.
By not doing a whole lot, he's going to do a lot.
He's going to be the surprise. I think Bernie will be I think Bernie's going to be number 2. I think Bernie's a lot of policy, and he's in offense mode at all times.
If Buttigieg doesn't do, if Mayor Pete, I know I'm massacring his last name, just call him Mayor Pete. If Mayor Pete doesn't do what Tulsi Gabbard did with her soldier, her vet card, if he doesn't do that with the gay card, I think he comes out squeaky clean. I think he's going to do great. But if he tries to lean on I'm the homosexual candidate, he's gonna eventually run out of room and not have enough substance to make it to the next round.
I'm worried that he might. Well, I'm worried he's going to walk into these debates thinking he's going to make it out of the identity politics round with his gay card. Like I think that's why I think he's going to have the problem.
The gay card is weird. No one's played it in the past at this level. In my opinion, the best way to play it is everyone knows that I'm gay. It has nothing to do with my candidacy. Let me just defend the fact that I'm pro-social rights and move on.
Right.
And I think that that's what he's done so far. But if he walks into the if his opening statement, or if he has a question sent his way about it and he handles it well, that's great. But if he like every single response has to do with it, I think that might turn some people off. Mm-hmm. I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I'm just saying it might turn some people off when it comes to his candidacy.
I'd agree. Real quick, who's your winner for
tonight?
Tonight, if you had to pick one, hot take.
Well, if Bernie doesn't win, he's not going to get the nomination. If he doesn't blow this out of the water, he's not going to get the nomination.
He needs to do. I mean, if we're looking at it from a sports perspective, he needs to blow it out. Like this is
a contract year.
This is a game. This is a game he should win. This is the Patriots playing the Browns. No. In my opinion.
What, Biden's the Browns? He's currently the favorite.
No, I'm saying he's the one with the most policy initiative. He's the one most offensively going at it when he's being interviewed.
No, he needs to. This is his last chance.
Right. I think this is a debate, especially when he's going up against every candidate, including himself, has issues with their policies, voting records, and stuff like that.
So your prediction is that Bernie comes out on top?
I think this is the debate he should do well in when it's not just the mains.
I think that coming out the end of this, you're going to see either Mayor Pete or Yang.
I would agree with
strikingly high
I would agree
on the
with Yang.
list out of nowhere.
I think Yang's gonna, like I said, I think Yang's got the most potential to do well because he is also very policy substantive coming forward. So he's got the best opportunity, and he's not on the offense. He's very much Amy Klobuchar, who's going to speak when it's his turn and strike when he needs to.
You're right. I believe you're right, but I do also believe that he's going to have a few responses that candidates are going to be eager to kind of dismiss. I'm not curious to see how Biden or Kamala Harris would react to the idea of a UBI or a embracement of automation in lower income workforce jobs, because I know how they're going to react. I'm curious how Bernie would talk about it.
I think Bernie's going to endorse it. I think Bernie's going to pull the Elizabeth. I think Bernie will be in favor of it. I don't know that.
You think that Yang is going to have it? Because that to me is a big question for Andrew Yang.
Right.
Because that is kind of what's given him the real push to get him where he is now, is that he has this unique idea, and everyone thinks that if it's a good idea, that's the candidate to talk about. If any of these other popular candidates, like a Joe Biden, like a Kamala Harris, or more potentially like a Bernie Sanders, says that's a wonderful idea, in fact, I've been thinking about it since this, and we should do something like this, then all of a sudden Andrew Yang is having to specify on other policies and try to make him stand out again.
Right. And when you look at it, you also wonder how many people are going to attack him on his ideas, as far as, while he does believe in UBI, he also believes in the market still being able to flourish and automation going forward, and he's okay with all that stuff. Like, I think, and
those are the only two things that he has right now. So he would have to go elsewhere if those
super, like, yes, UBI is a leftist idea, but allowing automation going forward and not tampering down on capitalism, I think that's going to be something that the other people on the dais attack.
So that's why I'm saying, if like, for example, if Biden says, this is why we can't do this because economics, or this is why we can't do your automation ideas because we do have to regulate this, that, and the other, or we're going to lose so many jobs and we don't have the structure for that, which is currently that's the biggest critique of him. If Bernie comes on and says something like, this is how we would do it way better, and I can actually give you numbers, or I actually can give you some substance to how I would do it, then he's fighting for air at that point, in my opinion. So I think you're right with, if he can just answer that question, say little and stick around, I think he does really well. But if he gets that question, or if that becomes an answer to questions, someone has a shot at him, then all of a sudden that's all he's got. With Mayor Pete, it's the opposite. He doesn't really. He has kind of this blanketly liberal policy agenda that it seems like he's kind of sensible gun laws, but he's not take all your guns. Actually, he's kind of this, kind of that. But at the same time, he's here because he's a millennial, and he has that unique identity politics card.
I've got to say,
so I think one of those two are going to end up high up there.
I think you're wrong I think you're wrong about Yang, because of criticism of him has actually been that he has policy on weird stuff, like circumcisions, robots, his policy is so far down the rabbit hole, and I think that he would be okay with having to adjust on the fly, so to speak.
Because my point is that he has what he has defined. He has defined clearly, and like you said, it is unique. That was kind of what I was saying. I just used his more obvious and what he's actually. The reason he's going to be in tonight's debate, rather than being one of the 4 out of the 24 left out of the debates, is because he has the UBI and because he has that automation embracement and robots and stuff like that. I think that unique policy embracement is what has gotten him here, and I think that if he can quietly stick with it, he'll stick around. That's what you were saying. What I believe is that he won't be able to do that. I think that that's going to be kind of gunned for. So in that case, he's going to have to define other policies on more basic, universal kind of stuff, where Buttigieg or Mayor Pete, like I said, I'm going to massacre his last name. Mayor Pete has the opposite problem. He has a very, like, everybody middle of the road liberal.
Very word salady, very.
As far as his policy goes, it's
Right.
very okay. That's kind of everyone here that can easily agree on that.
He's been riding corporate media attention for the last month, up until this.
So they both have the same problem.
Right.
They both have the same problem, in my opinion. They're
Well-
known for something that is unique. But now
not
they
much else.
but now they need to give us more if they want to stick around.
And in that, yeah, and that's where we differ then, because you're saying you think Buttigieg is the one that's going to flourish with that. I think if we had to choose between the two, it's got to be Yang. I'm telling you, I think the stuff with the shooting in Indiana and the town hall that he got obliterated at last week.
I think Yang's lack of actual palpable policy when it comes to the questions that are going to be given to everybody.
He's got policy. It's just he hasn't been given the same spot. The only
Right,
mainstream.
so he should be. He's going to be someone that will not be able to do what you're saying. That's my point. I don't think he's going to be able to quietly just hang on to what's out there already and stick around. I think
Okay.
he has to demand the spotlight a
Okay,
little bit. He's
okay,
going to have to jump on opportunity to define clearly his other policies.
Okay. Well, and
same thing with Buttigieg because
he's not the same candidate, but I
Mayor
think,
Pete has
and
that same problem.
I agree
It's
with
like,
you.
hey, you
Yeah.
know me because I'm young, I'm gay, and I'm liberal, but here's actually my policy substance. And I think he will have to demand the spotlight to do that, though I don't think he's going to have to demand it as much as Yang will, because he's been in the media recently. Even if it is most recently something that's against him or negative, I think he has had that traction much more than Yang has had the traction. Yang has much more of like a grassroots social media following. It's very much like a tech following.
the only
he's always
place-
like Snapchatting and Instagramming himself and
the
stuff.
biggest interview he's done was on Ben Shapiro's show.
Right.
Like he hasn't been making the rounds like
And he
Buttigieg.
did well on that.
Dude, it was we shared it to the page.
Right.
It was a good.
Well, he did extremely well on that.
It was a great
But
interview.
unfortunately, this isn't him against someone that doesn't believe in these beliefs.
It's somebody who agrees
It's 9 other people that could potentially agree with you, and if they're populist
and possibly
if
be
they
better
already,
nuanced on it
right?
than you.
That's my point.
Yeah. No,
if,
I'm
if
with you.
Bernie all of a sudden's like, well, actually, this,
Yeah.
this, and this, then all of a sudden it's like, all right, what else do you have, buddy? And Yang's like, robots.
Yeah, I don't think he's gonna do that. I think he's just known for you. I'm telling you, and maybe I'm wrong, but I think Buttigieg is gonna crash. I think Kamala Harris is gonna go after him about this stuff.
That's someone we haven't talked to about, haven't said anything about yet, is Kamala Harris is going to be here tonight. And I think Kamala Harris is going to
She
potentially
needs to have a good night.
outshine
She
Bernie.
needs to have a good night.
Because she's in that same spot as Bernie. Her and that's like Cory was in last night. It's like you need to have a good night or you might get forgotten.
Right.
And
Absolutely.
Bernie,
She's
you
on
need
the
to have
way
a good
down.
night or you're gonna your base, your fan base that's still here from last time around is going to find another favorite
Right.
candidate.
And the base that's still here is on shaky terms. Like they don't.
They're going to find another candidate if he
Right.
doesn't
I
do
know
well.
a lot of people that were very, very pro Bernie last time. This time around, they're like, yeah, I don't know how I feel about an old white guy being president again.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, and his support has gone down. So,
But he's Jewish.
and that's why I said earlier, he's got to knock. This is the bait that he should walk into with all these other candidates there. He should be able to walk in and shine because of his tact. He does good at policy, and he's on the offensive, and he's good with his stats. Like he's very well. He knows himself.
I think that if we haven't seen Kamala Harris in a debate setting yet,
Yeah, we've got
just
to
like
wrap
we
it.
haven't seen Cory Booker in a debate setting yet, and I think Kamala is going to do. If I had
She's
to
a
predict a winner,
freaking
if I had
10-year
to
prosecutor.
if I
She's
had
gonna
to
run it,
if I had to
think.
pick a winner tonight, it would be Kamala Harris. I think Kamala
Really?
Harris
Hot
is going
take.
to win.
Hot take.
I think Kamala Harris
She
is going to
needs
come out the hottest.
She needs to. Well, and I think she's better in a debate setting just because she's a former
Right,
prosecutor.
right. Yeah.
She's got the
She can do the academic debate with the political debate.
exactly.
Right.
She's good at cornering people. Like if she had to go on the attack against somebody, she's very much
So
that
people
is
that
her
are going to
skill
get
set.
hurt the most, Biden, and probably, well, you said Buttigieg is going to be but
think
Mayor Pete's going to be the
Beto. I
the
think he's
Beto?
going to be the Beto of tonight.
So we're thinking that Biden and Mayor Pete are kind of going to not do well.
Yeah.
And I'm personally thinking that because Biden doesn't do well, the people that are going to step on him are going to be Kamala and Bernie. Now, if they go after each other at all, then yeah, hot take, because I think Kamala would do better, and I guess you think Bernie would do better.
On policy substance.
But that's the thing. It depends on how it
here's
folds
the thing.
out.
If it becomes an identity politics battle, it's going to be Kamala. She's going to take Joe Biden to town.
I don't think that's the case.
I think she'll take Joe Biden to town. I think she'll take Mayor Pete to town. Maybe not Bernie.
Okay, yeah, not Bernie, though.
No.
Somehow Bernie he is made out of gold when it comes to the fires of identity politics, burning away the impurities.
He stood next to Martin Luther King and
exactly
and shouted for equal rights. Yeah, he's
by proxy. He is yeah.
Right.
That is. I think that last night we saw a lot. We learned a lot. Mm-hmm. We actually got some character development. Now, unfortunately, some of those characters are going to be Game of Throned before the next debate, I believe. But then tonight's big, and I'm stoked for tonight. Hopefully, we get this episode out before tonight. We'll get it out today, and then we'll be doing another one tomorrow to kind of go over the whole thing.
All right, man. Well, y'all make sure you check out Dead Center, thedeadcenterpodcast.com.
www.thedeadcenterpodcast.com.
Yes, sir. Make sure y'all check that out. Like, subscribe, share.
Please share. My parents are sharing our episodes.
Mine
Everyone
too.
else can do it too.
We love you guys, man.
Love
and
us
just
back, please.
make sure you check out the episodes and show us your friends. And with that being said, I'm Trip.
And I'm Jim.
This is Dead Center, where we like to conversate, not constant hate. And
get to the point.
Love y'all. See y'all next time.
Peace.
Common ground, never middleman, understand. This is Trip and Jim, we do what we want, you do what you can. Can you comprehend? If I think, then therefore I am. This is not a test, y'all should've came with a plan. I'ma stand on this conversation, ain't no constant hating. You need to get to the point, and we bring in the navigation. If it's a fork in the road, we'll make a lane in the grass.
You are now tuned in to the Dead Center Podcast.